There we go. There we go. There we go. Good sound. It's working. Hi,
Hello.
and welcome to another, well, actually, the first episode of ALTERDEEP. To episode 13 of SUPERDEEP, but to the first episode of ALTERDEEP. So at the end of last session, the heroes found themselves captured by what appeared to be a mind flayer. Maybe the mind flayer that worked for Macus. I think his name was Orvo.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like the music actually won't work. I love it.
I also never got that dodecahedron stuff.
Cool, I can grab that for you.
I think it would have to be more like vaudeville for it to work. On the creepy scale.
Yeah, we'll put on tavern noise. That's always nice. That dodecahedron. Okay, you guys were on. What was it, level 13? I believe it was. I believe so. Yeah, Torben's.
Oh, how
graveyard.
unlucky.
Okay, here it is. 1 to 2. 1 to 2. The dodecahedron explodes. So this is the dodecahedron of doom. It's a magic item they found last time. It explodes and is destroyed. Each creature within 20 feet makes a DC 13 dex save, taking 9d8 force damage on a fail or half as much on a success. So once it explodes, it's the magic item is destroyed.
Kaput.
It's kaput. 3 to 4, it casts light on itself, and it lasts until someone touches it. 5 to 6, it casts Ray of Frost, targeting a random creature within 60 feet of it, with a +5 to hit. 7 to 8, it casts Shocking Grasp, +5 to hit on the next creature that touches it. So it literally has to be somebody has to be like touching it. It casts Darkness on itself from a 9 to 10. 9 to 10 casts Darkness on itself. The effect has a duration of 10 minutes.
It's crazy.
11 to 12. Next creature to touch it gets 1d10 temporary hit points to last for an hour.
That's terrifying. So you drop the thing, nothing happens, and you don't know if it's going to shock and grasp you.
Or
Well, I
it's
guess
gonna
we
heal
would.
you.
No, we would. We'd see the number on it. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never touch it again.
So you guys,
There it is.
at the end of last session, I didn't even think I let you save for it. I think I just made it happen. Finally, Orvo caught up with you, trying to track you through the dungeon of the Mad Mage, the Undermountain, for his master Macus or the Xanathar, or who knows what his intentions were. But when you woke up, you found yourselves back in the Yawning Portal, the tavern and inn that is situated right on top of the Undermountain. You found yourselves there in rooms with all your stuff, and you kind of went down and you went out. I think you got kicked out of the bar for pestering Durnan.
Del got us kicked out.
Del got you kicked out, yeah. And then
Ivar
Del
and
got
Ove as well, right?
Huh?
Ivar and Ove as well, right?
We talked to them and they were not.
Yeah.
It wasn't them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't know who we were.
And then Del got stabbed by Durnan,
Oh.
and he disappeared would be the most correct way to kind of explain what happened to him. As the sword went through him, you saw him kind of go like, ah, and like I'm dying from this, and assumed that probably his protection cat probably lost a life, and then I'm punishing him for not being here. No, not really. I just thought narratively this is fun, so he's gonna lose a life over that. It's not a punishment so much as it's me. I give him 9 extra lives. I can take.
Oh,
I can take one of them arbitrarily.
sorry.
if I want to.
Don't mistake my
No, that's fine.
gaze with that.
No.
Kill him
I'm
as much as
also-
you want.
I'm also
Stop that. I mean,
talking to a camera.
he's terrible.
He's terrible.
He deserves it.
So as the Durnan rends him with the sword, running the sword through him, he kind of like in a puff just kind of just like dies, and it doesn't seem like he doesn't, his body doesn't fall on the ground or anything, but it does shock you, and that is literally where we're going to start the session, with Durnan having thrown his body, having stabbed him, and then him disappearing and returning back into the yawning portal, and you hear the sound of whistles of the city guard kind of running up. And do any of you have weapons out right now?
I don't.
I do not either.
My book.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a book. Yeah.
It's just a book.
Okay, cool. So as the city guard comes up, they all kind of look around, and there's a small battalion. It's a slender, tall, older gentleman with a club, a little billy club, and then a regiment of 6. Just kind of a mixed group of every day. They don't like skilled fighters per se, but they look like people who do this for a living. And they kind of run up, and unless you guys like say something to them, they're going to just kind of inspect the area, see what the trouble was, and when everyone's like there's nothing going on here, everything seems fine, and they all kind of greet, and they'll just disperse unless you guys directly want to interact with them.
Sailor would just be standing there like,
Mm-hmm.
where, why, where are we? What's happening? How is this happening again?
There was definitely a flare. There was definitely a mind. It was petting a brain. I mean, so I saw it on the watch, and
Mind flares not to be trifled with.
Well, as you guys are kind of standing out there in front of the yawning portal, you see lots of people passing by you. They don't really seem to take notice of you as you're standing there, kind of moving around you, almost like water, kind of partying. Although, and not really acknowledging you. Thank you, by the way, Mayor Robin Bowman. He gave us a shout out. There's the mayor. Everyone say hi to the mayor. Everyone's kind of walking around you, but you notice a homeless person or like a beggar kind of coming up, and they're kind of like putting their coin, their like little cup, and like asking for coin and going around. And as they do, everyone just kind of passes a coin and just puts it in the jar. And as he comes up to you, he all kind of goes to each of you and asks for a coin.
I toss a coin.
I prestidigitated a little handful of them.
I think
do that?
you can make a coin appear, but I think as soon as easy as it comes, easy it goes. There's no way you can make it like clink inside the can or like actually appear to be there. But you can definitely like produce a coin, but it's not anything.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So once you do that, and then like
I'll put a coin in.
yeah, you don't have any. So
What?
yeah, all your coins are gone. Don't erase them, but you don't have access to them.
What do you mean all the coins are gone?
This whole world is not real.
Just sailors coins or
Everyone's.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have any. You have access to all your gear, but none of your like. And as you go through the stuff in your sacks, you'll notice that like your scrolls. A lot of the scrolls are missing. Like not pages, just like words on the pages. Like there's stuff inside your bag is not quite right. You do have a coin bag. It has weight, but there's no amount of coin inside of it. So the bag shakes, but when you reach for the coin, there's no coin inside of it. You all kind of make a face, and like I said, no one's really paying attention to you except for this beggar who kind of like looks up at you and very discreetly says, "Next time around, follow me into the alleyway," and then he just leaves, like parts away from you, like into the crowd, and before you can, you can make a investigation or perception to see if you can find him, but he seems to just slip away.
Okay.
You want to?
I would have tried to follow him, I think.
Okay.
Wow. I don't perceive anything, really.
I doubt it. These dice are awesome, by the way,
9.
Taylor. Thank you. Yeah, they gave you the slip. It's gone.
It's gone.
And
him.
with that, I am not going to have you make a Constitution save. You are just going to pass out.
Ugh.
And when you wake up, you are back
Back in the room.
rooms, like you were the previous time you woke up. Everything that just happened to you feels. You can remember it, but it feels like a dream. The Undermountain feels like a memory. It doesn't feel like. It feels like something you did years ago now. And in the metagame, I'm explaining that to you so you can kind of roleplay it a little bit. Like, it's almost as if the first time you went in, it felt like your real life was a dream. And now it feels like the second time you've been in is the dream, and your real life is a distant memory. So you might be able to ascertain from the situation that you are still not in the real world. Your characters are still aware of this, and you can tell that there's a chance of you slipping into being more like being harder to parcel out that you're not in the real world.
We're getting fucking Inception.
Yeah. So
I assume
you
this is a
What
continuum,
does
fellas.
augury do again?
Tells you
if
if
it's
it's a
like-
good or bad idea.
Okay. Good or bad idea?
You have the spell card. What does it say?
I don't have the augury.
Oh, you
spell
don't?
card, no.
Okay, well then I can look it up.
I could have looked it up.
I think it's a yes or no question, right?
Okay. I haven't ever used that. If I still have those.
We have
Three auguries.
We have 3 uses, and I think
Uh-huh.
it
Do
replenishes.
what do you do? You want
It doesn't
to?
replenish.
It doesn't
just 3.
replenish, but you have 3 of them. Do you want to use one of those, Meryl?
I don't have really a course of action. I'm just looking for insight, so I'm not really sure if that would help.
Well, you guys can kind of collect yourselves. We'll say that you meet back down after it takes like a second of shock, and you can kind of collect yourselves any way you want to. But you meet back down in the main drinking hall of the Yawning Portal at a table. There's already food there. This time around too, I decided instead of like trying to pretend that this isn't an illusion, let's just lean into that. You guys, obviously the players, you know it's an illusion. Your characters feel there's something wrong there, but it's real, and this time it feels even more so. There's just more detail, things that reflect your memory. What were you gonna say?
My cape of Montbank, excuse me, it does Dimension Door once a day. I feel like I would try that to see if it would do anything.
Dimension Door allows you to move up to like 60 feet, I think.
Oh, that wasn't what I was thinking.
Yeah, Dimension Door is like a little teleport spell.
Blink, I think is what I'm thinking.
Blink?
Which I
Does it allow you to do that?
no, I can just do that.
Okay. Yeah, if you spend the mana points and you go into a blink state. Yeah, other than getting some looks from the people around you as you're doing it, everything seems to function normally. None of your magic seems to be hard to access. You have, like, once you start looking for something in your papers, if it's hard to find, the more you think about it, it seems to kind of be easier to like find. It's just like everything's misplaced. So instead of it being things are wrong in all your gear, it's now like all your things just aren't maybe where they're supposed to be, but you're able to find them with enough, like, enough looking.
Do I have a little bit of time to myself to maybe go cast Legend Lore and see if I can discern anything about how to get out of this weird loop?
When you cast Legend Lore, if you do that in your room before you leave your room,
Sure.
when you cast it, it just reveals legends about the Undermountain and the Yawning Portal specifically itself and the location. And this is all stuff that you know already. And all it confirms for you is that magic is working the way it's supposed to, and it's acting as if this is a real place in the material realm. So it maybe defies your logic a little bit, and maybe you don't have to like the result or feel like what I mean. Like you can, but that's what it kind of tells you.
Okay.
Because you can't seem to find anything like in your magical, if you cast Identify or Detect Magic, that seems to be like what's making this happen.
Would Dispel Magic
It would
take
work.
away any of
It's only going to work in the world on things
Right.
the way that it would normally work. So
It's
if magic is, if there's something affecting you, you don't know how to target it.
Okay, cool.
if that's what it is, and you don't even know that that's what it is.
Okay.
You're just gonna have to do some more investigation.
Okay.
Basically, is where you're at right now.
So, do we all remember the vagrant?
What happened when he cast blink?
She just blinks. She just like the spell takes effect. She blinks in and out over the course of the spell. Other than people being like, "Oh my god, what's happening over there?" And then once they see it, this looks like a party trick. I mean, somebody might even be like, "Hey," like the crowd in here seems a little more like people. Like definitely, they don't seem as like animatronic. And Durnan is acting. He is not like buying people drinks and stuff. As a matter of fact, you just saw him punch a half-orc who was getting handsy with one of his barmaids. He just like went over and like decked them on the floor. So it's a little more business as usual. And right now, it's like, oh, what an effective illusion maybe is how you're feeling, because you guys still have your facilities. You still understand what's happening. But as this, basically, as the session runs on, there'll be more and more times where you guys will have to make checks, and there's a chance that you guys could get stuck in here at least till next session. Maybe definitely.
Yeah.
Let's find that beggar. He said next time follow me into the alley. I think that's the move we make.
He obviously is the only one who has tabs of this. You see everyone get
Yeah.
into
Yes, we have to find him quick before I go mad.
Let's go.
Okay, so as you guys leave the yawning portal at the front exit, as soon as you do, you notice two familiar scenes. There's whistling from guards. This time they are outside and they are fighting a group of peasants, and one of them they have on the ground is the beggar. You can tell because he wore this like red ribbon around one of his wrists that the color kind of like stood out like a sea of grays. Although this time I was also like last time, remember I said it was kind of hazy. Now it's a sunny day. Now you guys can see the harbor beyond. It's just you can tell it's becoming more and more like real and like compelling. And so but there are three peasants, and these guards are just like beating them.
Hey, you all stop! Let them go right now.
Unhand him.
I'm gonna make an intimidation check.
Sure.
Oh, that one.
Oh no, would you like?
Yeah, they don't really. You yell that, and one of this mustache man kind of curls back and says, "Mind your own business." And then this is official City Watch business, and just like whack hits the beggar on the back of the head. And you hear him go, "Oh!" and he just falls over. And they're just gonna keep. You didn't really upset them or anything, so they're just like crowd control yelling at you right now.
I'm gonna go try to persuade them to stop,
Okay.
and that they're not who they're looking for.
Okay. Roll a persuasion.
Okay. 31.
Deal. So what were you were just trying to?
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to convince them that the real threat is elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
So
point 'em
so
off.
you break it up and you kind of insert yourself, and you're this like your charisma of whatever you're.
I'm at 20.
Yeah, it's a 20. So you're like this force of personality. And as you walk around, creeping darkness kind of follows you. And when you interact with these people, you can feel their fear. You can feel it on them. So if they aren't real, they are the most convincing illusion you've ever seen. This is unlike magic that you've created. There's something tangible about their soul. You're walking through this space, and as you do, they're like, well, we have orders from Open Lord Lord Macus to stop any vagrants on site in land. Says we have to carry out his authority, ma'am. And they stop their like brutality, but they're still like.
Can I try to deceive them and say that Macus has sent a different message? Maybe.
Sure. Yeah. Roll
Like
deception.
make
Yeah.
or something.
Ooh, would you like an inspiration?
15. She's not 31. That's why I made it.
Oh man.
When you say that, you're like, well, I have, and you walk over to Selah and you grab her by the hand and you go, by order of his house. Mm-hmm. And you like grab the hand and like wave it around, and she's got her signet ring on, and And when you do that, they all kind of look at all of you, and you guys can feel like the camera turn as you all kind of been like reality starting to warp around you. Everyone, make me a wisdom. Make me an intelligence saving throw.
Yeah.
Everybody add your +5.
Cool.
Do not.
Do not add your +5.
Not to this one. It works, just not on this throw specifically.
Okay.
I'm gonna use my Indomitable and re-roll that because that was.
Because you have to be within. They have to be within
10 feet.
10 feet of you. If it was 30 feet, that'd still be fine. So what did you roll?
16.
17.
15.
I also rolled a 16.
Okay. You guys all feel it. The whole world seems to lurch over, and you kind of are able to kind of collect yourself, and there you go. Yeah, you're okay. Everything's fine.
Did that not feel eerie to anyone else?
Are we dead?
He was trying to reset,
Ooh.
like it already had.
Back to the rooms.
Right, and deeper into this madness.
When you
What's
guys
different
look,
this time?
when you look around you right now, you also notice with your keen perceptions that the crowd has stopped moving, and the guards have disappeared. So the city watch is gone. So at this point, the beggar gets up and he grabs you by the hand. He says, "Come with me," and you guys start running down an alleyway.
We have questions for you.
He says, "With no time now." He says, "It's just the extremator will be here any moment."
The what?
And he yells, "The extremator!" And when that happens, a door opens in front of you guys, and out this alleyway you're in, and this figure kind of pushes through the doorway, and in a bright blue as opposed to his bright red jacket, you guys see Durnan standing there, and it says, "It's time to go to sleep, children." And he reaches out his hand, and you guys can roll initiative if you want to.
To try to beat him.
To intercede what he's doing. He's rolled an 20. He pulls, and right by your head, Selah, you're kind of all at that angle, and like this sword that he pulled from the bar the first time comes flying from across, 3 or 4 blocks, and just like narrowly misses your head as he lands in his hand, and he's gonna run up, and he is going to slice right past you and move kind of a spinning move, and he's going to hit the beggar right in the neck.
I'm not going to impose disadvantage with
Okay.
my protection.
We need him.
All right, yeah. He still is able to kind of push past it. He kind of uses the shield to get leverage and tosses the sword up and puts it underhanded, so he jams it down. And he's going to deal... Damn. He's going to take the sword, and as he pushes it through the beggar just like dies and is dead. And that's the end of his turn. So who?
I'm going to grapple him.
Okay.
I'm just going to grab him and try and wrap him up.
Strength check.
Oh my goodness.
I'm using an inspiration.
You will not.
Yeah. No inspirations.
Not right now. And when you feel, you reach for that extra bit of like heroic energy, and you see a flash in your mind of this. It's a mind flayer, but it is not Orbo. It is not the mind flayer that's been following you. This mind flayer has pale gray skin and up to 6 face tentacles. It is a much more gnarly, twisted version of a mind flayer, something unlike you've ever seen before, and it kind of jolts you back. What did you roll?
A nat 1.
Can I cast Knowledge's power on him and grant him advantage?
You can.
On that check?
No, that only works on a skill, and it only works not an attack.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I see.
There are a few reasons, but that's the
I
easiest one.
Is it like if he was making a history check or something?
There's a few reasons, but there's just one of them that you can understand.
Cool. Well then, Sayla, you fall asleep, and you wake up in your room. Everyone else make me a Constitution saving. Oh, sorry, an Intelligence saving throw.
I rolled a 9 or 10. Excuse me.
You fall asleep. You wake up.
18.
You fall asleep. You wake up.
16.
You fall asleep.
Again.
You wake up. All right. You guys are all back in your rooms
No.
at the yawning portal. Full hit points. Full spells. So you. I mean, every time you wake up, it's like the effects of a long rest.
I see. No.
And
Ring.
now you can remember the Undermountain. Your life before the Undermountain feels like maybe how you feel about your childhood. Like you remember it, but
Only in bits and segments.
yeah, like smells, sense memory things, but you're having a really hard time remembering things like your parents' names and like things that you should know. Your mission in the Undermountain feels closer but less so, and then you now know that you've been in this scenario, but you're having a hard time remembering how many times
Ring.
you've been in this scenario.
I'm here.
I like this.
I'm gonna scratch into my shield the words "Kill Durden,"
Cool.
so I don't forget that what happened last.
What are you doing to me? the eye yells.
Shh, it's important.
And then, actually, I lied. The eye doesn't say anything. Yeah, of course. He glows, but you get no response from it.
Okay, well, either way, I still do it.
Yeah, you sure do.
Okay, so we're in the rooms, right?
Yeah, you guys can be back down in the yawning portal if you want to, eating breakfast. Things are even more detailed now.
The more it gets to know our minds, the realer it gets.
Can we go back to that alley where we saw where what's his name was
Yeah.
leading us?
Yeah, for sure. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys.
Let's go now.
Yeah,
let's
before-
go
Yeah.
now. Let's run. Let's get away from here as fast
Peter.
as we can.
Grab a biscuit, let's go.
When you are
No time
when you
to waste,
leave
when
the
you're going
yawning
mad.
portal, Durnan's there serving drinks like he was the day before. He pays you no mind. I don't know if you want to roll an insight on him before you leave, or if you're just trying to like make no.
16. Or sorry, 17.
Yeah, he doesn't. His body language indicates nothing to you. He seems to be really wrapped up in whatever he's doing. The same way that everyone around you seems to be, even more so, living their own lives out in the streets. You now can hear the hear the sounds of people talking, and like the way a city street does. You can smell like the exotic herbs and spices. All the sensory things that were missing from the previous incarnation are coming through. Everyone roll me an insight.
I wanted to roll an insight on him, but
on
I can
Durnan?
just roll this one.
Do you want to? What'd you roll last?
I rolled a 24 insight on him.
The same read. He just
Okay.
seemed to not be. It seemed,
Hey,
yeah.
Same as everybody else.
Yeah, 20.
Not one.
19.
You guys, when you make your way out into the alleyway, what was that having you roll an insight situation?
Yeah.
You head down the alleyway to where Durnan was. You notice that now that door where he jumped out of has just disappeared. So you're kind of standing there and you're like, by the way, the other side, he's going to buy you some new dice.
Thank you.
Nice.
You
What is that,
inspect
like
the
30?
area, the door's
That's 30,
gone, and scratched in where the door was is a phrase in Celestial that you all can read, obviously.
Yeah.
But it says the sins of the father, and you see underneath it a symbol, an infernal, that it's a sigil, so it's not something you can read. It's like a brand, so it's more like there's nothing that your ability to read things would derive for you. But your eye, your demon eye,
Yeah.
devil eye, changes it, and it says basically like inherited by the son, and you get a sense of like dread.
I feel like this is my fault. This isn't good.
What do you mean it's your fault? This can't be your fault.
It's just this eye. Seeing things. Maybe we should.
What's wrong with your eye?
It changed the sign. It's talking about my father.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when he like goes back to point to you and look at it, and you guys all read it. When he goes back to point to it, it's gone.
Do we all remember the vagrant?
The beggar.
The beggar.
Yes, we were trying to find the beggar. Right? Why were we trying to find the beggar?
He said something to you, but
He said
he's gone
yeah,
now.
No,
I mean, that might be a dead lead.
but we
What was interesting that was said yesterday amongst the group? I mean, you heard the guard mentioned your brother specifically.
yes.
Macus.
Yes, Macus. We have to go see Macus.
Where do we find him?
He's the Xanathar. We go down to the.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But if this is
But
all alternative, then
So as you
I thought we
say
were.
this, you guys start heading
The
towards one of the
underground.
entrances. You know,
Yeah.
Mark Xanathar's hideout.
Yeah.
And as you go to the sewer, the manhole cover to pull it up, you pull up the manhole cover and it's bricked underneath. There is no
She's gonna throw it. She's so pissed. Yeah, she's so pissed.
And you remember that the guard referred to Macus as Open Lord.
yeah.
So
What is that?
He's one of the Open Lords of Water.
This is. I know exactly where we are. We are living in Macus's fucking dream right now.
Is this?
So he apparently did get the stone, and he created this whole world, and that's where we're trapped in.
Oh. How do we get out of
I
it?
don't know.
And just when that happens, a city watchman approaches you all with a city guard, like one of their knights, kind of behind us. Basically, like, you guys better come with me.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
Yeah. And he's just like, basically, Macus has sent for you guys.
Great.
And, yeah.
Let's go
And
talk
we
to
can
Macus.
pretty much
I'm not surprised.
we can pretty much smash cut if you guys don't resist.
We have
Oh, no.
questions and we want answers.
Take
we
me
refuse
right
to
to
be
him. Yeah.
trapped here.
So we cut with a
Ain't
little
so ill.
Star Warsy.
This is some
like little transitional music.
Some silly ass bullshit.
You guys.
Just
like
Now
Star
here.
Wars.
This is
Just like
simple
Star
ass
Wars.
bullshit.
So you guys get
fraud
Right.
nonsense.
to the chamber, and when you do, it's you're met by a small like cavalcade of people politique, like like fancy politicians, and they all kind of greet you. They're all kind of a little put off, maybe standoffish because of how creepy or dirty you are, or transparent, which you are now, by the way. You can actually it looks right, like so much so that it actually kind of helps you remember that you're not supposed to be here, because it was shocking. So as you guys tumble down this hole, anytime you find something new that your brain recognizes, it kind of tethers you back to the world. So even as you forget things, your characters will keep remembering little threads, but those threads will become smaller and smaller, like pinholes, until you'll be like, I know I'm not supposed to be here, who am I? Like, eventually you'll still know you're stuck somewhere. So it won't be like you'll lose your character, but I don't know, if you don't play this right, we could be here for months. I don't know.
Is this out of the book?
This is...
I mean,
you
don't have to tell me.
It's
Sorry.
cool.
You don't have to tell me.
Yes.
This is fun.
No. This ALTERDEEP is a place that's in this book. This is a thing that's on a
Crazy.
level. I'm using it dramatically.
Oh, sure.
In a narrative. Because there's no narrative in this adventure. So.
Oh, I'm having.
So
fun.
I'm just trying to build something. But
Sailor's just super pissed off.
yeah. So you head there, and it isn't long before he dismisses everybody. And as when he starts talking to you, pouring wine, he's just kind of like
Macus?
but he's on autopilot. It's very like, oh, sister, how good to see you. I hadn't heard of you since the Battle of
Detect
Volkenstaff. He seems to be like, genuinely, happy to see you.
Okay, I'm gonna start looking around the room. Like, I'm gonna use the secrets thing from my shield
Sure.
and
So
see if
you
I can
start-
find some
you
fucking
start
secret
scanning
doors
the
and stuff.
room, and everyone
Nice.
starts kind of. And after you guys don't engage with like the politicians, they all kind of filter out, and then Macus kind of closes the door, and as soon as he closes the door, he's like, oh my god! He says, you're real. He says, you're all real people.
Insight.
He says, roll.
What is that? What is that?
It's a nat-
What is that? What is that? Why is that? That's like 5 times.
He's gonna walk up to you and he's gonna grab you and he's gonna go, sister, it's you. Roll with advantage.
Okay.
No. No. Put it in jail. Put it in the jail.
You're putting
Put
the
it
two
in the
No,
jail.
the ones.
That one's gotta go,
I knew
bro.
that was gonna
Alright,
land
yeah.
the second it came out. I was like, that
Taylor's
one's not
yelling
gonna
at you to
follow.
stop using.
Stop using those. Go to jail.
He's
This one
got
first, right?
like 10 sets
Yes,
of
that
dice
first.
also.
Roll the
Oh.
d30.
Goodness, I was out of control.
Okay.
4.
25.
All right.
That was stupid.
This person who looks like your brother, to the best of your recollection, he's a new thread now. So this thing is him interacting with you right now is making you feel more like yourself.
Okay.
And you are looking at a person who seems to look as if he hasn't seen you in years. Like
I'm gonna grab him and what have you gotten us into?
he says, I've been trapped here for.
What was the stone we got you out of the Xanathar's lair? Do you remember that? I wouldn't remember that, would I?
Roll a intelligence check.
Okay. Boom. Okay.
Yeah, nice.
19.
Yes,
The
yes,
curse
you
is
remember it.
over.
Something
Okay.
you're like a stone.
The stone. We got it out of the Xanathar's vault. We pulled it out for you.
He's like, I genuinely do not know what you're talking about.
The Sigma stone.
He says, I do not know.
Damn it.
I give up.
He says, I've been stuck here. He says, I've been trying to find a way out of whatever this demi-plane is. He says, my soul seems to be unable to move on. He says, there's something wrong about this place. And he pulls back a curtain, and as he pulls it back on the wall, he has all these pieces of paper and parchment and chalk, and you can see that he's been leaving himself notes, keeping himself
About how to get
Right.
out of
thread to
here?
Like,
who
yeah,
he
yeah,
is.
yeah.
He's got
Yeah,
his win.
yeah. So he says that that there seems to be one piece of information. He's been scouring the city. He says that everywhere there's buildings that stand empty that have nothing inside of them. No markings that distinguish them. Signs that mean nothing. He says the great library in the great hall. He says that everything is gibberish. He says except for one section. There's one section and it's all divine history. He says it's all angelic lore. He says it's completely filled. He says he thinks the secrets. He says he thinks the person who created this place probably made a back door to get out of it. And he says that it's probably hidden in there somewhere, but he says, I haven't been able to. He says every time, and he kind of explains kind of Memento styles, like every time I come through, I have to remember who I am. I have to
Reeks of the
claw back out through my own subconscious.
We need to take you there and have your eye
Yes,
Through
let's
the
get to the
air.
library.
Everyone make a intelligence saving throw.
No.
And he starts to scream as this happens. Ah!
Oh
Kidding me.
no. Oh no.
We're going to sleep.
I'm gonna use my indomitable and re-roll the save.
As he rolled 19, so as he kind of like stammers over, he goes to a pedestal that has a glass dome on it, and he throws it on the ground, and there is a small pile of like dead flowers, and he just smashes them. And when he does, everybody can roll with advantage. What'd you roll?
A 24.
24. You can keep it if you want to. Phil Connors.
25.
It's funny. All right.
21.
Okay.
None at 20.
Okay.
22.
You guys do not fall asleep. He says every time that happens, he says that whoever a name, he says I remember it. And he goes to his wall and he says the what was it? Extremator. I had this written down.
Exterminator. Right?
Yeah, extremator.
That's what it is.
It sounds stupid either way.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
The exterminatory. He says it's a word I've seen around here, and it's all that the people can say after the world shifts. And he looks out the window, and you guys can see that out in the courtyard, one of the statues, the walking statues of Waterdeep. So the city has 9 of these statues, and they kind of pepper the landscape. Buildings have been built up around them. They've just been here forever. And he says that statues. He says, "Oh no!" And you see that the sleeping lady is this giant elf statue. It's this elf woman. It's 90 feet tall, so it's a 6-story tall building of a statue laying on its side.
Like
Is
that Buddha.
starting to like stand up, and he's like, "Oh no, we've got to run." He says basically like every time he tries to reset, everything kind of starts to go wonky. And after you, and the exterminator can insert itself anywhere at once in the illusion, so that anything can be a hazard.
We should go. We should go now.
Now.
Okay.
Macus, you're coming with us.
He says, I can't stay here now. He says,
Well, I'm glad you agree then.
yeah. And he says, I know a secret way out the back. And he takes you guys down a secret set of staircases behind a bookshelf, and you run out into a courtyard, and he takes you to a stable, and he literally grabs horses for you guys. Because as you look on the other side, kind of you couldn't see it because of the castle, this figure, kind of like porcelain white figure, kind of looms over, blocking the sun, its shadow kind of covering all of you. And as you mount the horses, and it kind of reaches out with its hand, and it opens its giant mouth, and when it does, instead of it making a noise, it just high-pitch like sound that kind of pierces your skull. It's more of a sensory effect thing. You don't have to roll or anything, but it's just like there's something unsettling about it. And you guys can ride your own horse.
I'm gonna summon my steed.
Cool. Nice. Why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yeah. As we walk out, Macus is like, "Sister, I got you a horse," and I'm like, "I don't need one." And it like clap my hands together in this yeah, we'll just say a war horse, like a big, like,
nice,
stout war horse appears in front of me, but it's got the colors of the shield like in its saddle and stuff like that.
Cool. So your warhorse, when it appears, it actually, there's a statue in the middle of the this courtyard that you're in, and on it is this mounted horse. There's this figure with a lance. It actually, like, the statue, because you haven't summoned this thing before yet.
No.
Right? As it starts to shake, and the statue that's on it crumbles, and the stone warhorse jumps off, and it starts to glow with the sigils of the single eye.
Oh, yeah.
And you summon this. It has a higher AC
Awesome.
by like 2 points, and it's resistant to bludgeoning damage because it has a construct.
Cool. I'm gonna.
And you get on it,
That's
and that's cool.
Badass.
Yeah, have your point.
Thank you.
For using that for the first time. Does anyone else have handle animals?
I'm fine familiar. Or animal handling? Is that right?
Yeah, as a skill. Then you might want to ride with someone as opposed to trying to control a horse during a. Because now as it's like coming up, everybody's leaving.
Yeah, this is that thing.
I will.
This is that. It's like once a session. It's like everyone just like varies like suddenly.
So I guess we're taking a break.
Well, yeah, let's. Okay, I'll tell you what. Yeah, we'll take a break and we'll set up this chase sequence and we'll see if you guys have to fight this one that's closest to you. But as you look off in the distance, you can see they're all standing up.
Okay, that's what I figured. It was more than just.
Yeah, and so the whole city seems to have these giant statues that are, and they're just crushing buildings as they're all trying to make their way towards you guys. We'll go to take a quick break. We'll be right back for more Alter Deep. back. All right.
And
So
we're back.
let's say Sayla's got a war horse. Halleck, you got handle animal, right? Handling.
Hannibal
I'm
animal.
not a
Nope.
survival.
We
Hannibal
built a
animal.
bunch of dungeon crawlers.
Yep.
Are they dead?
Well, Macus does. Macus hops on a horse. So who dead?
Is anything dead?
No. There's no dead things.
That's the
You,
only contingency when it comes to like animals.
Kill a
that
horse,
I might be
bring
able
it back to
control.
life, and
you,
then
you are currently. Macus just grabbed a bunch of horses, so he
Yeah.
grabs one. Somebody can ride with him
Come here.
easily.
You
Great.
have your own-
I have
And
range
yes.
of flying also.
Yeah, if you want to fly, you can fly instead of
I don't feel like
doing
I'd ride
that.
with
So
someone.
you can hop on somebody's horse, and you can hop on a horse. There you go. That's everybody.
Yep.
let's
So
go.
you guys get on the horses. Well, Macus is gonna make as he starts to sprint away, a ride check, and yeah, he's good at riding the horse.
Great.
And he bikes off. Go ahead and make a animal handling check, or let's see, it can just be a charisma check if you don't have
Okay.
anything that corresponds.
Insight.
No.
Okay. 13.
All right, cool. Yeah, you right behind him. Clop, clop, clop.
Mm.
Make me a fly check over there. Do me a dex check, of some sort. Agility, acrobatics, if you are. Dex check.
Dogs. Shot.
Dance check.
Just a flat dex check is
Mhm.
19.
Cool. So you guys take off.
Rainy.
Honestly, these statues are not very fast. They're big. They can scale a lot of space, and they can move 60 feet, and but that's just because they're humongous.
We take big steps.
So once you guys kind of get away from them, it doesn't really take much to avoid them. The problem is that as you ride through the town and you kind of, especially you're able to kind of get up there and glean some of the skyline. You can see they're all just moving in on your position, like they seem to know you where you are. Make a perception up there in the sky.
Can I reroll that or no? Do I got inspiration?
Yeah, go for it.
It didn't work earlier, so let's just double check.
Yeah. It's intentional though.
11.
You see on one of the far walking statues, one of the ones that had tenement housing built up around it, that's walking from the castle ward. On its shoulder is a figure in a robe with a staff. You can only see their silhouette, but they seem to be riding on the shoulder of this thing, very confidently, as if, I don't know, to imply that they were commanding it or something. But he's very far away. He's off in the distance on the other side of Waterdeep, but you can kind of, just with you have that kind of better than average vision, and you can kind of make out that shadow in the distance.
How far would you say feet-wise?
Oh, he's maybe almost half a mile away.
Okay.
It's more of just a knowledge, you can kind of see what's happening, and you can kind of tell wherever you guys go. So as you zoom back down, and the camera comes back down with you catching up with the people on the horses. You guys hit the curve, and you're right there at the this pavilion that opens up catty corner to this massive, beautiful library. This library that has these big, multiple domed stained glass roofs. And as you run up the stairs and go through the open archways, it doesn't even have a door that's closed. It's like one of these big, great works that's open. It was donated by a wizard a long time ago, and it's open to everybody in the Commonwealth. And as you guys run into this open air library, it's filled with sunlight, beautiful. It's filled with people. This is a very social. This is not a shh kind of place. This is a place where you'll find groups of people, lecturers and intellectuals.
Wonderful.
You see all sorts of different people, and because of that, as you run through, as you kind of come in with the horses, literally into the space, maybe before you dismount them. People are like, what are the meaning of this? And it isn't long before someone runs in and people start freaking out, running around once they realize the statues are are coming around. So the people are acting like terrified. It isn't like a simulation anymore. It feels like real life, and then you feel like you kind of feel like you're endangering all these people by being here on some level. You know, are they real? Are they not? I'll let you decide. But as soon as you enter into this space, your eye starts to burn. Like you can see it smoldering, so it's like literally making this like red glowing mist that's kind of coming from his socket, and it's forcing the orb to like generate a little bit of heat, and it kind of like, as it does, your face starts to crack even more, and revealing underneath more of this charred black. Yeah, it's painful. It doesn't do any damage to you, but
Jesus.
Yeah, and almost as if like
Balos is light.
you look like you've been severely burned almost underneath the skin, but the skin is not like ripped. It literally looks like cracked porcelain.
Would an aloe ointment help?
Yeah, you give it to him, and he takes it, and it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't seem to help. And the pain, now you feel it. It's almost more of like, it's not a physical pain. It's more of a psychic pain. It's more of like in your head, and you find yourself just being drawn to an area of this library, and you guys kind of follow him down this pathway, and people are still kind of clearing out of this space, and you might even see a few people and be like there's an old friar who's sitting there like drinking a big flagon of ale and reading a book that you can see the words on it are gibberish. It's just nonsense. He's just looking at it like, oh, this is so interesting. And you're like, get out of here. And through the windows, you can see the figures are starting to cut the skylight, so you can feel their presence inside this library because it's all these domes of stained glass window. And as you guys run through, and you find, basically, you guys run in, and your eye leads you right to this like obscure shelf in the back, and you grab a book. This book is like glowing, like white hot in your vision. And when you grab it, it's just a book. It doesn't hurt you or anything, but it's something special to you. You know that the answers you seek in life are inside of this book.
This is why I was in the deep anyway.
Do you want to start reading it now, or do you want to crash?
No.
Respond to an arm reaching literally through the ceiling of this, and you hear almost like a wail, and this is like these great machinations pushing through.
Move!
I do want to try to find a place to like.
All right, everybody make a deck save as you guys all jump out of the way of this shattering.
Is my aura down, or is it working again?
It works in this situation in proximity.
Okay.
So it wasn't. It works here. It was, where you're making the other save is not here.
Okay.
What'd you roll?
Natural one.
Did you give yourself? Well, you got the +5 from him. Roll
But
me,
does it now? Oh, okay.
roll me a d4.
1.
Meryl, you fall asleep.
Oh.
No.
Actually, the glass falls through you, and as it spike, she just like and then her body just turns to mist.
Oh my god.
And you're dead.
What?
Yeah, sorry.
I'm dead?
Well, you're not here anymore.
I'm gone.
Yeah, we'll come back to you later. You're not actually dead.
Like,
But,
wait.
That was really casual.
Wait. Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, but you're dead.
So mean. Tara's lost.
Just chill out. Don't worry about it. You're dead. And we'll. What did you roll?
Am I near for him also?
Well,
29.
Okay, yeah, you're fine. You'll take half damage.
24.
You'll take half damage.
13.
You'll take full damage.
What kind of damage is it?
It is psychic
bad
damage.
time.
Really?
It's shards of glass, but it deals
No.
you psychic damage.
Shards.
I wonder why. Alright.
The mind shards.
Oh my goodness.
What?
On a fail, 25 on a save.
Okay.
Oh, Kurt.
Ouch.
That's a nasty wound.
Everyone make me an intelligence saving throw.
Can I use my reaction before I do that, or do I need to make the save first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not me.
You're dead.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
19?
You said the last time we went to sleep,
Sorry,
we
I couldn't
regained
take the
all
anticipation.
of our slots and everything
Uh-huh.
back
Weird.
up. Alright, I'm gonna
Anticipation
use Indomitable.
You just can't read them.
Uh-huh.
So
That's
they like
terrible.
roll and roll and then.
What'd
it's
you
like,
roll?
"Where's that?"
Oh, nat 20.
Oh,
did.
a nat 20.
What'd you roll?
16.
You're dead. Just you.
Oh god.
Just me.
We'll cut down to you. Open the book.
Ugh.
Alright. Yeah, just open the book.
Make me a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh my
Goodness gracious.
How many hit points you got?
Can I use an action at all, or is it just because I can make a bonus? Or I can use a bonus action to heal
Sure.
myself. 61.
What'd you roll on your
The
Constitution save?
con save is not the best. It's 13. Hold on. Make sure that's correct.
There's a high
13.
pitch.
It was high.
15.
13.
Yeah, the book. Your eye, your devil eye. It looks like it's on like literal fire, like these like bright, searing white light is coming out of it. But in all actuality, that is not happening. That's just something that only you can see. But that searing light burns you, and you're going to take 27 radiant damage.
Which I have resistance to.
Cool. But as you do, the book only has one page that has any writing on it as you flip through it, and as you open the book all the way through, a word is revealed to you, a word that I shall not say, because only you know it now, and it is your father's true name. I wouldn't say it out loud because
Alright.
the name retains its
Beetlejuice,
power
Beetlejuice,
until
Beetlejuice.
you say it. So
Sorry.
now that you know your father's true name, you don't have to make a save as the simulation ends, and you all find yourselves awake on the ground, covered in a thick, milky, stinky goo, having just crashed out of these geometric chrysalis pods in a cold, metallic room. And inside this room is you've just like, you're in the process, you're been here a little bit longer than everyone else, so you're using prestidigitation to remove all the stuff off of you.
Okay.
Dell is sitting on a stool, drinking tea. He's like,
He would
like good of you to join me. And he like drinks his tea. And standing behind him is a mind flayer.
What?
Or more specifically, an Othulid. Othulid? How did we decide that was said? Ulithrid?
Lutherid?
Ulithrid? Ulithrid.
I think it
Yeah,
was
that sounds fine.
Jesus. Fuck.
Stands nearly 7 feet tall, holding a staff that resembles a twisted spinal column, with a head that has almost like alien, like little, like sharp little
How do you
piercers on.
spell it? I'd like to look up an image.
It's,
Unless you have a specific.
No,
one
you
you'd
can
like
look
to
it
show
up.
me.
You can look it up.
It's like U-I... Or U-L-I-T-H... R-D, something. Lutheran?
Ulitharid?
Uh,
Oh yeah. Ulitharid. I would guess. Or Ulitharid.
yeah.
Well, it's been fun, guys.
Ulithrid.
Ulitharid.
It's been fun.
Ulitharid. Ulitharid.
This guy's the whole vibe is creepy, obviously, with all of his tentacles and whatnot. And then standing behind him is your old friend, Mother.
Mm.
Mother.
Fuck.
Do we remember Mother?
You remember everything. You're back in the real world. You have the full sense of what happened inside the machine, which you're now looking around as some sort of like contraption tied to this room. The room itself is humming, like purring, as if there's energy kind of flowing through the space. It feels very like alien and not of this world. You even feel, because of your special connections to the planes, all of you, you can sense that this is like another part of the Undermountain that's intersecting with another slice of reality, maybe the Underdark or something. You don't know what it is, but you can feel that this isn't the material
What do
plane
I look
proper.
What do I look like?
You look.
Still transparent.
Yeah.
Like ghosty.
Ghosty. You look a little more gray. You're like desaturated, so you're starting to lose some of your color, and you're starting to feel more and more apathetic. Emotion is harder for you to touch, and when you do, it is mercurial. It slips away from you very quickly. But you're still pragmatic. I mean, you still understand the connections, and I think you understand what's happening to you a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a lot of mystery as to. I mean, the Shadowfell is a place that is where there is a void of feeling. You know what I mean? Like things that live in the Shadowfell, that they only can feel maybe the most extreme feelings, and they're always the worst. You know, there's an entire race of creatures that can only feel like sorrow and like true pain, because the Shadowfell is it's the opposite of the Feywild. The Feywild is all hyper emotion, hyper passion. It's all extremes. They're just like coins of the opposite side. And the material realm is kind of their imprint, kind of pushed against each other. It's kind of the fusion of those two realms, and the resulting more is like the byproduct. Sorry. So those statues weren't real, and that's kind of the dramatic reveal, and you guys can kind of have agency again with your characters. We can even kind of clean it up and cut to the next scene where you're all in fresh clothes and you're being escorted around this very interesting apparatus that seems built into like a cave somewhere that has indoor areas and outdoor areas, almost like a spaceship that's kind of like lodged into this what it is, it's basically a giant dynamo. There's a river that's running through this cavern, and this apparatus literally cuts through the cavern and bridges it together, and the water runs into it and creates a magical output of energy. And the Exterminator kind of explains to you that he was brought here by Hallister's nefarious magics, and that he says something you guys have heard before, that Hallister's use of magic works like a tuning fork all the way through the Undermountain. The Undermountain harnesses his magic, and he's used that magic to keep them from being able to exit this area. He basically takes you on a mini tour, and as you go through, he's taking you through this big cavernous space and over this machinery and kind of walking you through their lair. It's one of the smaller levels of this dungeon that you guys have been in, and there are doors you're walking by, and you cannot read the writing on them because it is not read the same way. They read writing with their tentacles. It's like Braille. So unfortunately your magic doesn't work on it because you can't read it with your eyes. And you don't have the components to actually read the writing. So as you're walking by with your high investigation, you would surmise that in order to investigate this place more thoroughly, you're going to figure out a way to translate, which you could do by animating a dead mind flayer. You know, you could just take a head, but then you're going to need those tentacles to read the signs. And he's taking you to areas that are like open, but there are places that are definitely closed off. I think he's not showing you everything. Opening some doors, keeping some closed. There aren't any other mind flayers. It's just him. He says it's him and Mother here, and basically like they've been trapped here. He shows you an arcane gate.
Did they put us in the cocoons?
Yes.
Well, why did they do that?
He said that he needed to find. He says all will be revealed. Young mistress. He sounds like Alan Rickman. He's a big mind flayer. So I shall tell you all. And he just walks off. But he basically he explains that that locked away in your subconscious is the name of your father, and said that unfortunately the only way to Hallister is through the next level. It says reveals that you guys are on level 17 of the dungeon.
Oh whoa.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It says they took
That's
you.
the old enough.
He took you
Shit.
through the Gith, the war that's posing between the Gith Yankee. The Gith are warring above you. He says that you certainly would have.
We skipped 2 wars.
You said
Yeah.
you would have been killed is what they said, and that we didn't have time. We had to accelerate our plans. Says that that ideally the plan was to find someone who could get them the Sigma Stone, which is actually a piece of the Primus Rock. He explains that was all a facade, thinking you all ne'er-do-wells and miscreants. All he knows from Waterdeep is what he's gained from his telepathic ability. He can feel things up to 2 miles away. So he can feel most of the city, and he's been building it with his mind, trying to better understand humans, trying to find people that can help him with his cause. He says he doesn't eat sentient brains, neither did his people, but they all died off. He said when Hallister misshaped, he takes you to a chamber. He says that he's like, I dare not walk through the threshold of this door. He says, lest I lose my mind. And he points to it's a big, like, green glowing pool. And it said this is where the Elder Brain used to be housed. He says he turned it into a horrible creature, and then out of this pool comes this, it looks like a giant purple worm, and it has all these mind flayer tentacles that come out of its mouth. It's called a neolithid. It's this horrible mind flayer worm thing, and it kind of shrieks, and you can see there are dead mind flayer carcasses all over this cavern. And so basically, he says we're trapped. We can't go through the portal. It won't open for us. He shows you one of the archways. He says, and if we do, we'll just go into one of Hallister's traps. He says we can't go beyond the confines of our level. He says that Hallister's resonating magic will drive us insane, cause us to forget who we are, and it's basically because they're psychics.
Why can't we go through the portal?
You can. The portal will take you back up the mountain. He says you can. He says we can't. Basically, Mother's been sneaking up as monsters from each level to get to Waterdeep, to find somebody who could sneak into Xanathar's vault to get a piece of the Sigma Stone, which is this device. It's just a MacGuffin. It is a piece of the first parts of creation, and if you speak a outsider of the material realm's true name into it, it will cause their atoms to shatter into 1,000,000 pieces. So basically, a demon, a devil, anyone who you have the true name of, and if they're on the material realm and you speak their name into it within 10 feet of them, it will cause them to not be able to exist anymore. Your father is a he said you hold the key to unlocking it. Your father guards the Terminus level, sent there by his god to cleanse the level of Hallister's most foul creations.
So this is the
eons
watcher,
ago.
the patient one, the oldest.
It's your father. And you have his eye in your skull.
His eyes on the sparrow
So he's like,
or something.
we
like
need
that.
you. The creature takes the stone, puts it in your hand. This thing that you stole from Xanathar's vault. Says, I need you to kill your father, and I need you to disconnect Hallister from the Undermountains so that we can be free. He says, we're trapped here. And basically he's like, I want to help you because our things coalesce. So I think
Oh my god.
I think if you want to, we could probably do a short sesh tonight, and we could let that sit and make plans
That's
for
crazy.
next week.
Yeah.
Because you don't really have a conflict right now here.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
This
it's
guy's
just
not.
kinda
This guy does
resolved.
not pose a threat to you. The only other thing we could potentially do is, and I feel like we could wait for Jimmy for this. Might be fun. Is there might be an opportunity to sneak around and maybe confirm these things because there are
A lot of closed.
a lot of closed doors. You're not.
Dell would hate closed doors.
So maybe
Yeah,
maybe we
you
can
wanna go
maybe
over
that's
all
another good
that
reason to pause. Well, that way Jimmy can be here and we can sneak around and see if their story stacks up. There might be more
Also-
intrigue there.
I might be interested in animating a mind flare.
There are lots of mind flayer corpses that you can.
I could
animate.
immediately cast plane abide.
You'd have to go into the chamber that holds the neolithid, and that is going to be very dangerous. So we'll wait. We'll wait to do that, to raise any dead, because you have to go into that space. He said, unfortunately, we had to, we had to try to get out of here, and these were just people who unfortunately, these were my crew.
The mind flare.
And they're dead.
So this was my hive, and now I'm the last of the hive, and I have to turn into an like he's like, I'm just a mind flayer doing mind flayer things, like I have to turn into an elder brain for the hive to persist, but I can't do that here. I can't do that safely. So if you can help me, we'll leave this place. Like, we don't want to be here. And I'll help you do this. And basically, like, take this down, talk to your father, and kill him with it, please. And with that, you should be able to process. You'll be able to go on to the next levels. Will have you'll have to face the apprentices. So basically, he just like can tell you the rest of this. He's like, you'll have to face the apprentices, and then finally you can try to kill Hallister. He says Hallister keeps a set of clones in the Undermountain. So if he dies,
What?
he will be reborn. So we have to disconnect him from that machine. We have to try to break. Basically, he describes the Undermountain as a wheel that is going to crush the world. If you guys aren't able to, Hallister will make it everything. If he has his way. That's not something you need to worry about now, but it is an existential threat. So anyways, that's all the big story stuff, I think. Your father, who is a Solar.
Oh shit.
Celestial.
He's one of the 7 of the old court. So he's one of the fallen fallen Solars from before time.
Wow, you're kind of a big deal.
Which means that you're not just the Azamar that you were told that you were. You were actually like a full Celestial.
Dope!
But your birthright has been like stripped from you because your father has fallen into he's a fallen angel now.
So you crush him and take back your name, and then you become the Celestial that you were supposed to be.
And you guys, there's something for everybody. I'm sorry.
There's something here for everybody.
Yours is a little more straightforward. The mountain wants the Undermountain gone. That's not like he wants to. You would feel compelled to do that because the Eye would say that's exactly what we need to do. We need to disrupt his hold over the mountain so that it can heal. Mm-hmm. And by heal, he means fall into everything inside of it, die, and fall into disrepair. He's talking about like the mountain basically like caving in on itself, or maybe even a volcano, something intense. But you would feel compelled at least to.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. And the Mind Flayer, it can read your minds, and it knows who you are. It's been following you, and it says that you might find one of Hallister's recent guests to be of interest, and it shows you through like a very interesting like floating sphere that's on this like metal column. He like waves his hand over it, and then you see in kind of a fisheye view your eldest sister sitting in the same chair that you were sitting in when you were talking to Hallister that one time that he took you to his chambers.
Bitch!
So he's looking for an apprentice, and he's been interviewing the both of you. So it's kind of a weird, like, I don't know, like college drama that's going on right now. Staffing problem. But anyways, find out who gets the promotion next time. And this was a fun episode of ALTERDEEP. I'm going to try to have a different intro for the series, a revamped intro next week with our wonderful music from Eric. And thank you again to Mayor Robin Bobin.
Thank you, Mayor Robin Bobin. Who got Lucy Fane a pair of dice, by the way.
Does ever so handsome.
Right?
Sweetie.
I don't.
Such a sweet. Such a nice human who believes in us. Go watch Game of Thrones. What are you doing? Oh,
What are you doing? Get out of here.
Get
out of here.
That's it. I feel like
Voidwalker Tuesday.
Voidwalker Tuesday. Oh yeah, and go ahead and level up. Let's go ahead and level up. We're at level 17. We're on the 17th
We're at
level.
level 17.
We're at level 17 of the dungeon.
I get so much goodies.
The part of what the Mind Flayer and I'm sure gives you some sort of restorative process. I imagine that he imbues you with a gift that would kind of essentially level you up.
With a gift? What kind of gift?
Yeah,
The
the
most
funniest
apropos
gifts.
gift.
And that's it. Everyone have a good night. Suck it.
Suck it!